Welcome to Only Murders in My Mind, a Random Thought production. Hi, I'm Carol Bissett, a crime writer, and I invite you with my co-presenters, Liz Hedgecock and Mike Jackson, each week to our conversations on all things murderous. Hello everyone, it's Thursday, it's 5 p.m. and it's Only Murders in My Mind with Liz Hedgecock.
Hello.
And Mike Jackson.
Hello.
We're here tonight to fascinate you as usual and hopefully make you smile a little bit. I smile when I listen to it. Not sure of that. How anything been happening, folks? Has anything in the world of writing or just the world of Liz and Mike?
Well, the most notable thing is the sun has shone today.
I know.
What is going on?
We've had Tupperware weather for the last 2 weeks.
It's been so grey. But yes, I've also had some time off.
Oh, that's unusual for you.
It is. Well, my other half managed to actually remember to schedule some leave. So, it's not very good at that. But anyway, yes, we had time off and we walked a lot and we did stuff. But my other thing is that one of my series has been picked up by a publisher and the first book is relaunching today.
Yay!
Oh, well
Launch
done.
day!
Yes, I know. It's amazing how I've made time out of my schedule to do this, really.
I know she's a very busy lady.
But yes, so A House of Mirrors is out today with a snazzy new cover, courtesy of DP Publishing, who are my new publishers for the Mrs. Hudson and Sherlock Holmes series, and certainly on pre-order, and I think possibly for a little while afterwards, so you might need to go and check this. It is 99p or 0.99.
Oh, that's
in various markets, so it's a good deal. That's about a quarter of what it normally is. So
you're multimedia now, aren't you? Sort of thing. We'll have to have a discussion about this.
About multimedia, about audio and
all the different things.
Or we just have an episode about Liz.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah, about all the different ways.
That's a terrible thought.
You can get your writing out there. And how's life with you, Mike?
Oh, let's see what would be interesting. I had a bad cough last week and it's gone.
Yay! How's your novella?
Oh, yes.
Or is it a novelette?
It could be that as well. Yes.
Novelette.
Well, it's got to be one or the other. It can't be both.
No. It's progressing slowly, shall we say? Which is not
I'd be
unusual.
worried if it wasn't.
Yes, that's true. I tell you what, for the next time,
yes,
or the time after, or at some stage in the future,
yeah, don't tie yourself down.
I'm not
Mike.
going to. I'll bring along whatever I've done, if I've done anything. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, that's an offer we can't refuse.
That's what I thought.
If only I knew what it was.
Yeah. The listeners will be hanging on there, bated breath, waiting for the next instalment of whatever.
They will. But if you want a cut price book, first in series with, quite a lot of reviews and all that sort of thing, then House of Mirrors is out for 0.99.
That
in
is
ebook.
Brilliant. And congratulations on that contract.
Thank you very much.
It's very, very hard today to get people interested in going down what we call the traditional route. And you've got a foot, as this is what I was saying, we could talk about audio and Liz's career with a lot
Please
of
don't talk about me.
A lot of it self-published. I, at the moment, with our producer and editor, John. Say hello, John.
Hi.
We're just getting towards the end of an audio book, my first Warrington Detective. And hopefully it will be out as an audio book by Christmas, but no promises. And it has been such hard work, probably more for John than me. And I can understand now why they are so expensive to produce and why, I don't know, some of them are quite expensive to buy as well, aren't they?
Yes,
yeah. Well, I think it's the case of there's so much more work involved because, with a book, you write a book and it's not that hard to learn how to format it to be an ebook. And it's not that difficult to work out how to make it into a print book.
Yeah.
Because you can work with providers, but with an audio, you've got to have sound, you've got to have the book, it's got to be of a certain quality, it's got to be uploaded.
Yes.
But even just the recording of something like an audiobook is, some people think it's quite an easy thing to do, but it's not. It's a very time consuming. If you can imagine when you're reading something out and you make a mistake, it's a case of going back and doing that bit again. And it's you can be doing this
We've
quite a few
We've
times.
done a lot of that, Mike.
Yes.
John's got it really. He's got it down into a fine art now, but it is time consuming, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's not a case of just reading it out. You have to also, when you're speaking to characters, you have to give them distinct voices, because otherwise, if it's two characters that sound similar, listeners are going to be confused.
Yeah. So
Yes.
feedback from my two friends here was most helpful on that. So let's
Just on that note, though, Carol, just to let people know that we have been trying an experiment with that book, but another book that Carol has been writing, and that has been put into an audio form and is on the blog, and it's just called Carol's Novel Experiment, and there are 5 chapters there, and if you want to go and have a listen, and it's very much in its draft form, it needs polishing, and Carol knows that, but what she's wanting is some sort of feedback. So if you've got a minute and you want to go and listen to any one of those 5 chapters, please feel free to put something in the comments pot, which is on our blog, onlymurdersinmymind.wordpress.com.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, because I will not progress with this unless I get some people that say they would be interested in seeing the end article. But yeah, I would appreciate it. I really would.
Yeah.
That was the whole idea of doing it.
It's a difficult call, that, because I think with readers, some readers are prepared to take a punt on a new series, but there are others who won't start a series until there's at least 3 books in it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
And the problem is, if you're that author thinking, well, I've got one out and I'm not sure about the sales of that, do I write another? Do I write 3? Do I go for the 6 I had in mind? And then you have people who are hanging back, and it just makes it hard.
Yeah.
But hey.
This is a novella, so I mean,
Yeah.
there is no reason why I shouldn't finish it, because I've done 5 chapters already. So watch this space. So today we're going to talk about culinary crimes, and that's not me in the kitchen trying to poison people, by the way. This is books, series, possibly films that we've seen or heard or read, which the detective is involved in some way in the art of food preparation. That's the best way. It can be quite it's quite a fluid subject. So what springs to mind when you think about this sort of genre? I mean, you just said that there's loads in the...
Yeah, I think of like cozy mysteries and, all those books about, the little cupcake shop by the sea, the little bakery at the end of the street and all that, all those kind of cozy mystery protagonists who have bakeries, cupcake shops, snack wagons, coffee shops, bagel shops, you name it.
I suppose what it does, it gives lots of different settings, doesn't it, for cozy mystery. But also when you think of it, when you start thinking about kitchens, whether it's the ordinary kitchen at home or professional kitchens, there is so much scope in there. There's so many weapons that can be used for murder, from poison that can be put in food to some nice sharp knives in the drawer.
Or just not cooking someone's chicken enough.
That's right.
Yes, there's a fish, isn't there, that to do with Japanese...
Puffer fish, I think.
Yeah, isn't there something in it that's deadly, and they have to make sure that they get the bladder or something?
Yes, yeah.
I got this information from a Simpsons cartoon.
Well, it's obviously correct.
It's got to be true.
Apparently, it's a real delicacy.
Yeah,
but has to be cooked.
Russian roulette type.
Yes.
It has to be done by a chef that knows exactly
qualified,
what they're doing.
Experienced chef.
Yeah. I mean, one of the ones that falls into this genre that I've been watching recently is Winstable Pearl.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is a female who runs a fish and oyster restaurant in Winstable. But she did start off her life training to be a police officer. And as a sideline, she runs a detective agency. But she's very close to the DCI who is transferred, and I'll have to look his name up.
Can I just say, though, if you've got a restaurant, how much time would you have to have a detective agency on the side? Because
she's got a mum.
She's got a mum helping in the kitchen.
And a couple of other staff. Her son was in it, but now he's gone off to university. The DCI is Mike Maguire, who's tall, dark, broody. He's got a sad past. You know, so
Does he like fish?
No, but he likes the beer that she sells.
Ah,
Yes.
yes.
He was in something else too, and I
I
can't.
know, I can't think what it was.
Maybe it'll come to me later.
Yeah.
I
I
know his
suppose the
face.
thing is with those kinds of settings, though, it's brilliant because because there's a shop element or a service element. You'll have customers coming and going, and you'll have regulars and you'll have new people. You've got the staff and their little dramas and what's going on there. You've possibly got beef with other restaurants or cafes or local businesses. So it's quite a fertile. This is one of the things I was thinking about when I wrote the Magical Bookshop series about, having a shop is great because you've got traffic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with the Whitstable Pearl, because like Carol, I've watched that one as well. And all the things that she investigates, or the crimes, the murders that she investigates as a private detective, alongside with this other gentleman who we know he's been in something else, but we can't think what, policeman, actually have nothing to do with food.
No.
It's the fact that the
I'm
setting.
a bit disappointed by that. I
Yeah.
was hoping for some nice,
Well,
red
the-
herrings.
The latest one was to do with food, but that's all I'm saying because
right.
it's episode release at the moment. So you only see it on a weekly basis. So I'm not going to say, but it was definitely food related. This particular one,
But many of them aren't.
no,
It's-
not a lot
it's
of them
just-
aren't. No, they're not.
I used to watch something, and in fact, I had to ask Anne, my wife, what it was called because I couldn't remember before I came out. Pie in the Sky.
Yeah, that's the other one
with
I've
Richard
got.
Griffiths.
Richard
Oh,
Griffiths.
I was
that
thinking
was
of that.
good.
Yes.
I love that.
Now
one.
that was set very much in a restaurant. He was
He was the main chef.
He was the
wasn't
main chef
but he was
there.
also a part-time detective
yeah.
with the Met. He wasn't just like
Okay.
playing at it.
Right.
Yeah, but one of the things that makes me laugh in Winstable Pearl is they talk about the DFLs down from London.
Yeah.
Oh,
So a
yes.
lot of the properties around the smaller properties are just holiday homes. So you've got that element, like you say, new people coming in that
Yeah.
just stay for a week now and again or the weekend.
Yeah, and if it's a small community, of course, everyone notices when someone new is in
Yeah.
town, and they
Yes.
probably want to find out
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they do, what they're like,
yeah. So
all of that stuff.
I can recommend it. It's really. I think we're in.
Mhm.
I think we're in series 3 now.
Yeah.
Pie in the Sky. That was the other one I had down. Richard Griffiths was the lead in that.
Pie in the Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his name in it was Henry Crabb, and he was a semi-retired policeman and he didn't really want to still be a policeman. He wanted to be a chef, So that was.
So was he not making enough money as a chef?
They wouldn't let him
just
retire for
retire?
some
Oh.
reason. There
There was
too
some
good-
hold
too
over
good
him,
at the
wasn't
job?
it?
there was some. Have you heard about Recipes for Murder?
I have not. Tell me about
No.
Recipes for Murder.
I can't remember which station it's on, but this is set in South Africa.
Oh.
And it's based on a novel by Sally Andrew. And it's about a newspaper journalist who is like an agony aunt, but she also sends out people recipes because she's got a love for cooking.
Mhm.
And she starts getting letters to her agony aunt about murders and people missing, and that's a very tenuous link, really, isn't it? But
Mhm.
I think I've not watched it, so I don't know. But I think probably she's got some link with somebody that owns a restaurant somewhere.
Yeah. So is that a cozy style series?
I
or-
think so. I think it
Yeah.
is. I mean, naughty me. I should have watched an episode before I talked about it, but I have seen it
You'll have
advertised.
to report back.
Yeah, it's one of those things I looked at and thought I must, because it's the sort of thing that appealed to me. I must watch that. It looks
Yeah.
interesting.
It's one of those things, I suppose. As I said, kind of in the cozy genre, a culinary kind of slant to it is really popular. I mean, so much so that there are kind of 3 subcategories for cozy mysteries. There's pets and animals, there's crafts and hobbies, and then there's culinary.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yeah. There isn't one for like paranormal cozies, which you might expect. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's an awful lot of
There is, isn't there?
cozies
about-
with witches and magic and, all that sort of stuff. But no, there isn't. They just have the 3.
I tell you what, I'd make a good series for a culinary one. A hoagie wagon, where you're seeing the rougher side of life.
A hoagie wagon.
Yeah.
Go on, tell me about that.
Isn't it? They used to have one outside Mr. Smith's where you
Well,
used
it used to before Mr. Smith's when it was a restaurant. We really are now going back into the past. And anybody who doesn't know Warrington will have no idea what we're talking about.
That was a nightclub.
And I think Liz is trying to work out what a hoagie wagon
I
is.
kind of am, yeah.
They sell burgers and hot dogs.
Oh, right, a fast food truck.
That's
Yes,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
This is before the word fast food had been invented.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
called. I don't know why it was called a hoagie
No.
wagon.
It does
If you
sound
know,
good.
If you know, tell us. We'd like to know the origins of
Right.
these things. But yeah, there used to be one outside Mr. Smith, which was a large nightclub in Warrington. And I used to be a district nurse at the time on the evening service, and I'd be coming home in the middle of winter in my car with the heating full up. And I'd see young lasses going over to Mr. Smith's with very little on, and all I could think of was, it must be really cold.
Oh, you know you're getting old when you see a queue outside a nightclub and you want to hand them all cardigans.
Yeah.
I think I was in my early 20s when I started thinking like that, mind you. So clearly I was, premature.
They were all heading for the hoagie wagon to warm themselves up.
They
Yeah.
That's what
probably
it was.
were.
Yeah.
I did some research on this one, and
Ooh.
some of the titles, I don't know any of these books, but some of the titles were great. There was the Cookbook Killer, which is an anthology within the Deadly Dinner Party series.
Of course.
Another one was simply called Delicious by Ruth Reicke. And this one apparently intertwines the culinary world with secrets from World War II.
Oh.
Sounds good.
Wow.
The Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder. And The Dinner by Herman Koch, a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
The
No, I was looking up chefs who write as well.
Oh, yes.
Anthony Bourdain.
Really?
All right.
Not cosy though. Well, I mean, people know him for Kitchen Confidential and stuff like that, the kind of the expose style stuff. And I looked on my shelves because I was thinking, I'm sure I have one of these, and I found Bone in the Throat.
Oh.
Not a cozy.
Not a cozy.
I'll read you the blurb. All is not well at the Dreadnought Grill. The chef's got a drug habit. The owner's been set up by the FBI. And in the midst of this, Tommy, the sous chef, is just trying to do his job. As depraved as it is hilarious, no, definitely not cozy, Anthony Bourdain's first novel is spiced with foul-mouthed feds, drugged-up savvy and salty mob speak. With a cast of unforgettables like the hitman who covers himself in cling film to avoid leaving fingerprints, Bone in the Throat has a plot with more twists than a plate of spaghetti.
Way.
So there you go. But what I didn't know is that he also did a non-fiction book about Typhoid Mary.
Oh.
Yes, because she was a cook.
She was. She used to go to
Yeah.
people's houses and cook for the families, didn't she?
Yeah, and she loved her work.
She did, and
Yeah.
then as people were dying, she'd move on somewhere else.
Yeah, and even being like locked up didn't stop her. She'd
Nope.
get out and then she'd like work under aliases.
She and if you don't know about that, look it up because it's absolutely fascinating. She was a carrier. She didn't suffer from typhoid, but she was a carrier. So she kindly shared it with the families that she worked for.
Indeed.
Yes, another interesting thing.
Mhm.
We haven't really got anything to read out about this, have we?
Ooh, well,
Or have
I
we?
kind of have.
we? Oh,
Well,
excellent.
one of the things that lots of culinary cozy writers do is they put recipes in the backs of their books.
Ah,
In that kind of bonus item sort of way.
yeah.
And there are a lot of series about them. One of them I can think of, the first book is called Gluten-Free Murder, and it all centres around a gluten-free bakery.
I would really like to read that one because
Well,
I
it's-
don't eat gluten.
It's by P.D. Workman.
Right, I'm going to
So
write
there
that
you,
down.
there you go.
I
She
have
is
a note,
actually
but can
writing
you
this
hear
down.
Can you hear the page?
Yeah, Russell.
Can I
Sorry,
just tell you
what was
where
that?
hoagie wagon comes from?
Yeah,
go
go on.
Apparently, a hoagie is a long, thin loaf of bread filled with vegetables and cold meat or cheese. And it's a bit like a sub
Oh,
from
Okay.
Subway.
yeah, it would
Right.
be now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So is a sub the same thing as a hoagie, or is it like a dialect word, or is it...
Comes from America,
That's-
doesn't
It sounds like it can... Well, I'm thinking of
I-
Hoagie Carmichael, but I don't know if he was named after a sandwich or not.
Hoagie rolls. I'm trying to think what it says on here.
Mm.
For those who are not quite sure, I'm actually looking on Wikipedia to see what it says.
And while Mike looks, what was the name of that author again for the gluten-free?
P.D. Workman.
P.D. Workman, right. I shall
Yes.
have a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've just finished the last of Sally Bushel's X-books.
Oh,
The next one's
right.
not out till 25. I can't
Well, I
wait.
tell you what, you could read, and it is culinary.
Yeah.
She's got a Jane Austen tea room series.
She has,
yes. So it's a Regency tea room, and she serves, the heroine serves, protagonist I should say, Jane Austen themed fare.
So that's a culinary one.
It is absolutely
Yes.
a culinary one, yes.
Yeah. Yes, and I remember mentioning it when we interviewed her. So
Yes, I think the first one is called High Tea and Homicide.
I like
So
that.
Right, do you want an update on hoagie?
Yes, please.
The name likely comes from the Philadelphia area, where during World War One, Italian immigrants who worked at the Hog Island shipyard began making sandwiches. They were originally called hoggies before the name hoagie took hold. They are. You learn something new every day.
Every day's a school day.
Let it never be said that we don't aim to inform, educate, and entertain.
Well, at least one of those things.
Yeah,
we
we'll
aim
try
to do.
we'll shoot for one. If we get another one, that's great.
Yeah. So you on your theory about there's always
I was
a recipe.
talking about recipes
You
in the
were.
back, yeah, and I kind of thought this over. And the thing is, I'm not the greatest of cooks, and also because for my cozy series, the Pippa Parker Mysteries, Pippa's not a great cook either. If she can get away with just slamming some pasta on a plate, she'll do it. You know, she might make a lasagna if she's really pushing the boat out. You know, but I thought, well, it would be completely out of character for Pippa to actually do proper recipes. So as a bonus item in one of the books, the QWERTY Murders, I think it is, I put some recipes a la Pippa
Oh, good.
in. So, right, you've got a choice between spaghetti parkanaise, Freddy's Mega Mousse cupcakes, or Ruby's Rainbow Cake. Which would you like?
Oh, Freddy's.
Yeah, Freddy's Mega whatever. it
Freddy's
was.
Mega Mousse cupcakes.
That's
Okay,
the
Mega
fun.
Mousse is a cartoon that Freddy absolutely loves. So, 1, assemble cupcake ingredients. I mean, how hard can it be? Flour, baking powder, cocoa powder, eggs, sugar, cupcake cases, and specially bought matchmakers for the antlers. 2, normal sugar? Yes. Caster sugar? Yes. But where's the icing sugar? Get everything out of the cupboard and find a 2/3 empty packet at the back. That'll be enough, won't it? 3, why don't the cupcake cases fit the tin? 4, whiz up mix. That actually looks all right, and it tastes nice too. Definitely deserves a celebratory matchmaker. 5, preheat oven and get cakes in. 6, find food colouring for icing. Red, yes. Blue, yes. Yellow, yes. Brown, no. 7, if this wasn't meant to be a surprise, you could ask Freddie how to mix colours to make brown. Google how to make brown. Okay, you should have known that, really. 8, why does icing sugar turn to almost nothing when you add water? Why? 9, add food colouring very carefully and mix. That colour is horrible, but no more icing sugar left. 10, timer goes off. Cupcakes are spread out rather than rising. They look like discuses. 11, ice discuses. Sorry. Ice discuses with yucky brown icing. Add white chalk buttons and a spot of brown icing for eyes. Raisins for nose and mouth. 12, you fool, Pippa. Antlers have branches. Briefly consider getting twigs from gardener substitute. Icing not strong enough to glue branches onto the main matchmaker. 13, serve. You wouldn't eat one, but Freddie seems to appreciate the effort, even though he says Mega Mousse has blue eyes. I just thought it would be a nice antidote to the,
the murders and
the rainbow cakes and all the other kind of, delicacies that you see recipes for, or like pies and whatnot. I have issues sometimes with recipes anyway, when like the recipe seems to be get a flan case, put a tin of pie filling in it, and then put it in the oven. It's like, well,
that's not really a recipe.
That's not
it?
cooking. That's assembling things.
Yeah, it is. It's cheating sort of thing. I've been watching recently. I don't know why, but I've been watching Secret Eaters. There was a series on a while ago about.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it is amazing, and it does make us realise what we actually do eat when we're not thinking about it. Yeah, I've got to say, most of these people are quite good at cooking, though, that I've watched. Some murders going on there, I think, between couples.
While I was listening to Liz's recipe then...
in quotes, recipe.
Yeah, I cheated.
Did you now?
Which is unlike me, I know. And I quickly asked AI to write me a 200-word gruesome recipe.
Go on then. This should be good.
And it's the recipe for braised heart of a deceiver. Ingredients: 1 fresh human heart, preferably from a traitor, 3 cloves of garlic crushed, 1 tablespoon of coarse sea salt, 1 tablespoon of black peppercorns cracked, 2 cups of blood red wine, vintage for flavour, sprig of rosemary and thyme, splash of vinegar for that acidic bite, fresh beetroot grated for garnish and extra colour. Instructions. Preparation. Begin by rinsing the heart in cold water to cleanse any lingering doubt. Pat it dry, then coat liberally with salt and pepper to season the sins within. Searing. In a cast iron pot, sear the heart over a high heat until it's charred on the outside, but raw within, a reminder of its treachery. Braising. Submerge the heart in red wine and vinegar, adding the garlic and herbs. Simmer on a low heat, letting the flavour of betrayal seep out, darkening the liquid to an ominous crimson. Finishing touches. After 2 hours, remove the heart, slice thinly, and lay it across a plate. Garnish with grated beetroot for extra splash of visceral colour. Serving suggestions. Serve cold, savouring each bite slowly. A taste of revenge to linger on the tongue.
Well, someone's not letting it go, are they?
I could manage that if it didn't have the beetroot.
Yes, I'd be all right without the beetroot.
I couldn't be doing with it cold.
No.
No.
I used to do roast heart. I used to stuff it, and then I think I was a surgeon, and sew it up with like butcher's string and put it in the
not
oven
a
and
great
roast
one
it.
for offal, I have to say.
No. But they always say revenge is
Tasty,
best served
best
cold.
served cold, yes.
And in that case, it was.
Yeah.
No. On a slightly different note, I was reading, I think this came from Twitter, someone who, as a joke, wrote like a little blurb for a book called something like The Little Garlic Bread Shop by the Sea. And then started, actually thinking about it, thinking, I actually want to write this now. So, I think it was a mystery series featuring a lot of garlic bread.
Garlic bread?
Absolutely.
It's
yes.
amazing.
Yeah, it certainly is.
But when you think of some of our favourites too, trying to go back to
What we were talking
On
Oh,
topic.
about.
yes, we were, weren't we?
people like Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes, they've always somehow integrate some sort of culinary into their stories, even if it's mainly around poisoning.
Yes.
They're quite often, I think of Agatha Christie, quite often dinner parties.
Yes.
And it's quite often within the dinner party, the murder happens, either by culinary means, i.e. some sort of poisoning, or the lights go out and somebody gets stabbed in the back. Or whatever.
Well, I suppose the thing is, on one hand, you're gathering everybody together, but also you're making sure that everyone's there so that no one can be sneaking around.
That's right. It's back to what we've talked about before, this whole closed room idea of a mystery. That everybody was round the table, so who on earth could have done it?
I remember in Agatha Christie, I remember watching this, and there were 12 shells being planted in the garden, and it was like oyster shells.
How does your garden grow?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do remember reading it, but I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
Yeah, and the something about the woodpecker had come and taken off the nose of the maid and all this sort.
Yeah, it was a rhyme, wasn't it?
It was.
Pocket full of rye?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yes, yeah, and that was to do with baking and hiding the evidence in plain sight. And
Apparently,
that
it was
sort of
a
thing.
poisoning using taxine, the poison derived from yew-berries,
Yeah,
and it was hidden in the marmalade.
that's where it was. Yeah.
What a memory!
Oh, amazing.
Or I may have it written down in front of me.
Yeah, that's come up.
You're a mind reader.
That's come up a few times recently when I've been watching, murder mystery things. That taxing, where they've ground it down and put it in into food.
Yeah. And the thing is, I suppose you would have to be a good cook to get away with that sort of thing, because you couldn't put something with a distinctive taste in just anything.
No.
Or was it the case of back in the time of somebody like Agatha Christie when she was writing? People did see, I've nearly said we did, but I'm not that old yet. But people did season their food much more strongly, didn't they? Used lots of salt and what have you. So I suppose it was slightly easier maybe to use poisons.
And also, like, game was a lot gamier.
Yes,
That's true. Yeah, and sometimes it would be in the drink, wouldn't it?
Often in the drink.
They would put something in a drink, and and it wouldn't be the first glass; it'd be the second or third when they were getting well oiled, and they wouldn't notice that it had got a funny taste.
Or it's probably things like, before fridges and freezers were so very popular, you'd have lots of pickles and preserves and things like that
true.
that you could disguise things in.
Yeah.
And I think quite often that they use something like drinks because again, anybody could have dropped something into the drink.
Yeah.
Whereas if the
and also if it's a cocktail, if someone says, "Oh, this is a bit bitter," you can say, "Oh, I put too much of whatever
that's
in
right,
it."
Yeah.
I remember a Dalgleish book, Inspector Dalgleish, and he was at a nurse's home where the nurses were being poisoned through the hot chocolate. At least one of them did. I can't remember what it was called. One of them took cocoa to bed every night, and of course it can be quite bitter.
Yes,
cocoa.
If you have proper stuff.
Yeah, well, this is going back probably to the era of when I first started training in the late 60s, early 70s sort of thing. And she made a proper cup of cocoa and took it to bed. But I think there was 2 or 3 deaths in it, and I think at least 2 of them were to do with poisoning. So that would come under culinary in a way, wouldn't it? Sort of.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, if it involves food.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It kind of feels like there's culinary and culinary, in that sometimes people use it in a sort of it's a convenient setting type way.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you're saying about Whitstable Pearl, it isn't very often food related.
No.
And then you have ones where it really is. So
Yeah. The latest one, I won't give anything away by saying this. It's about a person that comes in and writes an article on restaurants. So it's a food critic. That's all I'm saying. But a lot of food was involved. Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well, descriptions of food.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Always interesting.
Yeah.
I remember reading, it was I can never say this right, Ngao Marsh, that's it. And it was a country house type thing.
Oh, very nice.
But the thing was, it was either during or after the war, so everything was rationed. So it was like they were having to open tins of stuff because it was in the winter and like nothing was available, and they were having to, spin out all the delicacies they kind of had salted away. So yeah, that was really interesting thinking about. It's supposed to be a posh dinner party, and here they are like opening tins of, whatever it might be, tins of oysters.
Yeah.
I think, I'm going back to, we mentioned right at the beginning, the Pie in the Sky TV series with Richard Griffiths. And what I remember about those, or central to it, there was always a murder or some sort of crime. But also part of it was very much him in the kitchen experimenting with a new dish.
Yeah.
And that was sort of almost an integral part of it.
Yeah.
And that was nothing to do with the murder. That was just him in his other role.
Well, I suppose it's another problem to solve, isn't it? Is that kind of inquiry.
Yes, his mind was being very, I mean, and no, there weren't any murders in it, but Lessons in Chemistry was all about the fathoming out what was in a recipe, wasn't it?
Yes, and how to get the most out of things.
Yeah.
And I suppose the other thing about culinary stuff is you can possibly tell quite a lot about someone by what they eat or what they serve.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you went around someone's house and they gave you a microwave lasagna, you'd feel differently from if they'd, got 3 courses out or whatever.
Yes.
So.
Unless you came to our house, you'd prefer me to get a microwave meal out than try to attempt a 3-course dinner. Trust me.
Well, you definitely wouldn't want a microwave meal at my house because we don't have a microwave. So.
That would be a problem. That would be an issue.
Definitely would.
So on
that note,
yes, I think we'll draw this discussion to a close.
We'll put down our knives and forks.
Yes.
So I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back same time next week for the next episode of Only Murders in My Mind. Bye now.
You have been listening to Only Murders in My Mind, a Random Thought production, produced by John Bissett. The music in Peril was composed and recorded by OM Studio Strings.